Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of IBNW News. Today we're going to go over some breaking news that came out late last night, and this is regarding Sean Feucht. If you don't know who he is, basically he is a man who got pretty popular due to his associations with Bethel. He was a worship leader over at Bethel Church for a little while. Honestly, not sure where he is currently at now. But we are going to go over some serious financial, spiritual, and moral allegations that have been brought against him from former people that were basically volunteers and leaders alongside him in the past. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to go ahead first start off. This is the statement that has come out with this, and it is from a newer website called truthandfreedomministries.com. Once again, this is a formal statement regarding the longstanding misconduct by Sean. So, just kind of going over this. We're not going to read this entire thing for you. You can go check it out once again at truthandfreedomministries.com. But we're going to go ahead and jump over to an article that kind of summarizes what this is talking about. And honestly, this is pretty pointed. It says here 5 former leaders of groups associated. We're taking this from Ministry Watch, by the way. 5 former leaders of groups associated with Sean Feucht. I've never known how to say that name right. Having issued a formal statement bringing to light what they call, quote, long-standing and serious moral, ethical, financial, organizational, and governance failures by Feucht, calling for an independent investigation into possible fraud and embezzlement. And for those of you who are watching live, I know we are much later than normal because I was having a hard time setting up my new secondary monitor that I got. My old one that's like $20 or $40 I bought off Amazon a long time ago. Finally, it was about time for it to go. Um, Too Legit came in, said, did you see Justin Peters' video on him today? I'm assuming so. Actually, I personally did not. I did not know he did one. I haven't had time actually since going into getting back from work and setting up this monitor, which took way longer than it should have. But I'm going to go check that out after this. Let's go ahead and keep on moving in as we see people jumping into the live stream. And I'll put the comments up there as more people come in and talk, so that way y'all can see it for yourselves. It goes on to say here, the statement also urges the removal of Sean, I'll just keep saying that, from leadership and financial stewardship positions. Having witnessed firsthand, what we have witnessed about Sean, we can no longer encourage any financial contributions to him and his endeavors, and we can no longer encourage anyone to work for him, paid or unpaid. We can no longer encourage anyone to partner with him in any ministry capacity, the statement says. And you want to know why? Well, if you actually go over to Ministry Watch here, which has a good reputation for basically being able to let you know what's a good ministry to go ahead and jump on over to if you want to donate to them or you want to give some offerings to them. Sean Feucht Ministries is down to a 19 confidence rating. That's pretty bad. And they put in here withhold giving. That's their standard there. They say don't give to this group, don't give to this ministry, withhold your giving. That's pretty pointed. Honestly, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. And they go over all the different reasons why, and we're going to jump into it a little bit more as we get into the article. Just going on and looking at the comments that y'all are putting on it. Clinstagram jumped in here, said Justin's video on him was good. Are you and you are saying his last name correctly? It's like, wait, okay, good. I'm glad I got that one right. Um, Susie Q says, I would like to record to show that I was on the record that I was on time tonight. Yes, you were, Susie. Absolutely. Clinstagram says he thinks you have to go higher in elevation to quote here guy. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Once again, this guy has ties to Bethel. He's all over the place. If you ever seen him, for some reason, he randomly pops up on my Twitter feed all the time. I have no idea why. But just a few reasons here. Look at this. This organization does not file a Form 990, which obviously a lot of ministries don't, but it's just another reason to kind of put a red flag into it. And they give it a transparency grade of F. That is pretty bad. So obviously, do not give to this ministry. And we're going to kind of go over a little bit why as we continue on through this article. So let's keep going on. It says here, The singers include the singers. Oh wow! So the singers include Christy Gafford, Peter and Amanda Hartzell, Liam Bernard, and Richie Booth. Personally, I don't know who they are. They were all associated in various capacities with Burn 24/7, a group that Foyt started in 2006 that hosts regular prayer and worship gatherings in cities around the world. The allegations claim that Foyt has a long-standing pattern of moral and ethical misconduct, including manipulation, exaggeration, control, lying, gaslighting, and spiritual and emotional abuse. That's a lot of heavy baggage right there. Even though they claim that he has been confronted about these issues over the years, it has resulted in very little meaningful change and repentance. And I just want to say before I keep reading, I did read this entire article, the actual statement here. If you do get a chance to read it, you can tell that they know the Bible. They went through the biblical process here and gave biblical reasons for why they are coming out public with this. Once again, anybody that I believe is a public ministry that is receiving donors from all across the world should be financially transparent. And if there's something wrong, you've tried to fix it, that fixing is not getting right, then by all means, you have every right to publicly call that person out or ministry, because once again, it's a very public ministry. I've often seen comments like, who are you to, talk about this? What happens in their church is between them and God, et cetera, and so on. The problem with that statement is that when you have an incorporated church, say like Gateway, or you are a publicly funded nonprofit, just like Sean runs over here, you are accountable to the public because you're receiving public donations. This isn't just a between him and God thing or him and just his people. This is a very public thing. It goes on to say the singers also claim that Feucht had misrepresented his ministry activities, which have allegedly included ceaseless financial solicitation intermingled with his grandiose visions, go figure, which has led to untold financial gain and steady stream of unpaid labor from volunteers. If you didn't know, there was actually an article out not too long ago, and I believe it actually came from our good friend over at Trinity Foundation. And I'm just going to put it in here. And I think we talked about this in one of the roundup episodes. I just want to see if we can pull that article up. Yep, there it is right there. So worship leader requires 9 homes and 2 parsonages. There he is right there. And I do remember talking about this. So that just kind of lends to exactly what these people are saying. I mean, come on now. Worship leader requires 9 homes and 2 parsonages. What do you need those for? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what he's using them for. But it does beg to ask the question. I think if you're giving, you should have the right to know. It goes on to say, when others have attempted to raise concerns, they allegedly have been met with retaliation, threats of litigation, and exclusion from ministry events. The statement also claims that board members of groups associated with Feucht, including Burn 24/7, Light a Candle, and Let Us Worship, have failed to exercise oversight over Feucht's activities. The former leaders also alleged financial impropriety by Feucht. For example, the accusers claim Feucht repeatedly used business credit cards for personal expenses, that he diverted donations to personal accounts, and that he inflated prices to paid to vendors. And then he used ministry funds to rent his own cabin in Montana for a ministry board meeting. I mean, I don't like what Too Legit said, not shady at all. Kathy is shocked. 9 homes and 2 parsonages. Yes, exactly. Too Legit also says maybe God will take him to his rightful place for eternity where he is closer to him. And then Elaine, it's all 91 says, yes, he's planning to climb a mountain to be closer to God. That's y'all know more than I do about this. That's insane and crazy. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to watch this Justin Peters video because y'all keep commenting on it as well. It goes on to say with the article, continuing on, Liam Bernard, who was a leader Burn 24/7 in Oklahoma City and regionally, said he was forced to cover many of the costs of the Burn events out of his own pocket. When he confronted Feucht about the financial transparency and accountability, Bernard said he was called names like fascist and communist, after which he left the ministry. That's crazy. Bernard described feeling used and discarded once he began raising concerns about ethics and integrity within the movement. I mean, this is the whole reason why you have a financial accountability person with you, or just an accountability partner, period, to be able to hold you accountable. Peers, not people that are under you, but peers. That's what it prevents. But obviously, if you're kind of a megalomaniac, then that's probably not going to work. Once again, this is all alleged. It goes on to say Booth, who was a part of the administrative staff for several of Feucht's ministries, several. How do you run several ministries? That's what I don't get. I mean, I barely have time to run this YouTube channel with my full-time job, let alone run several ministries. Said he witnessed questionable financial practices, including the unexplained use of ministry funds being blocked from seeing credit card expenses statements and failure to properly report donations. I mean, once again, I do say it's all alleged, but at the same time, uh, if this is true, I mean, this is kind of a bombshell. Uh, Chip Bagley said, "Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the fruit of Bethel Church." Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. Too Legit said, "Where's Julie Roy's for all this?" She actually had a Twitter post on this, and I'll go over there to see if I can pull it up real quick just to show you. She did talk about this because she's all about talking about Sean. If you've ever watched some of her stuff, hold on, let me see if I can go ahead and find it here really quick. Um, Stop telling me to get verified, Twitter. I don't know what you're trying to do. Scrolling, Eric, you might as well look through while I'm scrolling here. I was almost going to talk about this. We'll talk about this maybe on a different episode. She posted about Andy Wood trying to flex his bicep and show off his new tattoo to the congregation. I swear it was somewhere in here. Well, oh well, you know what? I'm just not gonna go ahead and get into it, but we'll I swear I saw something that she was talking about regarding that. Let's go ahead and jump back over to our article so we don't veer too far off into outer space. Bobby Mack said, I used to follow Sean back during COVID lockdowns until I realized he was associated with Bethel, did grave soaking, and started doing weird numerology stuff. Oh, that numerology. If you don't know what numerology is, people, it's basically this belief that numbers have some sort of significance. Like I've met a person before, like if they hear something, the same thing 3 times, then that's an affirmation from God that this is meant to be. Sadly, she used that to justify divorcing her husband, mind you. So numerology is not something that you should be following as a Christian, period. Let's go ahead and keep reading on. It goes on to say Gafford, a longtime leader from 2016 to 2024, who served as global communications director for Burn 24/7, wrote a lengthy statement articulating her concerns about the lack of leadership accountability and the neglect of volunteers she said she witnessed in the organization. The statement lists multiple properties it says owned by Feucht, whose legal name is apparently John Christopher Feucht, or Sean. So not even Sean, it's John Christopher. Why change your first name? Anyways, Sean Feucht Ministries, the one in Washington, D.C., purchased for $967,000 a $3.5 million parsonage, quote, parsonage purchased in March 2024 in San Juan, California, in 40 acres and a cabin in Montana valued at 1.95 million. Man, if you're buying property out in Montana and you're in the 1 millions, I don't know if you've been to Montana, but you can get some places pretty cheap there. But 1.9 million, man, I can't imagine what that would be in like California. A residence in Redding, California, valued on Zillow at around $764,000. That's kind of part of it for the course for California. Redding, though, that is up in Northern California. I've driven through Redding a couple times just for work purposes. Never stopped in there. Doesn't look like the greatest town in the world, just in my personal opinion. A condominium in Dana Point, California, purchased for $770,000 in April 25. Another property in Minnesota, or Montana, estimated on Zillow to be at over $1 million. Why? How? I don't get it. In addition, it lists 7 personally owned rental properties in Pennsylvania that added up to $1.8 million in value. Ay. It's like a business venture in here. Thanks for putting up that link over there, Susie Q. I appreciate that. That's why you're a moderator. You are all over it. According to reporting by the Trinity Foundation, Feucht sold another property in Coto de Caza, California in January for 1.7. So here's one thing. And I'm not accusing Sean of this, but here's one thing that you do see sometimes, and this could be going on. We don't know. But a lot of times, what they do is they use this ministry money to go ahead and buy property and then sell it uh, to themselves on the cheap and then resell it, gaining that money for their own personal income. It's basically money laundering. You've seen this before with other churches. We've actually gone over Trinity Foundation articles where they talked about this, churches buying up, beach condos and then selling it to somebody for like $100, and then that person going off and then selling it for what it's actually worth, pocketing all that extra cash. Like what Too Legit said, he is a real estate mogul. uh, Redding has cooties now. Oh my gosh. Y'all are crazy, but I love y'all. The accusers believe the amassed real estate holdings raise questions about the proportion of nonprofit funds directed towards real estate rather than program activities. Very good observation there. We corroborate with the recent Ministry Watch database assertion that Sean Feucht, I'm going to keep messing this up, Ministries' financial integrity with accountability ratings have shifted in the last few years, leading to Sean's transparency rating, which was exactly what we were sharing there earlier. He's down to a 19. A 19. That is not good. It's a withhold giving, do not give rating. That says something. It goes on here to talk a little bit more. Ministry Watch reported about Feucht many times over the last few years. April 2024, and he was joined by Eric Metataxis and Pastor Russell Johnson. Oh, Russell Johnson. Man, if you ever want a good laugh, just go check out that person at a pro Israel rally. He's like everything that Seattle Christianity would be representative of. Not digging on, I lived up in the Pacific Northwest for a while, but it's just there's a lot of those churches up there that are we're not your typical church type church. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely one of them. I think that's Pursuit Church is the one he's the pastor of. Goes on to say, we're seeing this rise and this flood of, I'm not going to keep reading on to more of this, but it goes on a little bit more into the article. There's also another article that was done, and it was a spotlight, a ministry spotlight done by Ministry Watch. And this was back in 2024. It said over the last few weeks, the rating shifted from a D to an F. Talked about that already. And it kind of goes into the specifics. It says here, the organization does not file a Form 990 or make it available to the public. Red flag number one. It petitioned the IRS to change its status to a church. This isn't a church. This is a ministry. This is the same thing that we saw about with Daystar. Daystar is a television network, but yet they file as if they're a church, or at least from what we last looked at. It looks like Sean was trying to do the same thing. There is therefore no updated financial information after 2020. The ministry is also not a member of the ECFA, meaning they don't have any accountability, basically what that means. In 2019, Sean Feucht Ministries had a revenue of around $283,000. And in 2020, that number surged to $5.3 million, basically getting rich off the COVID pandemic. Additionally, its expenses rose from $269,000 to $1.1 million from 2019 to 2020. And its general admin ratio jumped from 1% to 33%, and its net assets grew to $4.5 million. Sean flew into the international spotlight, or the national spotlight, in 2020 with worship protests across the country. According to its website, Sean Feucht Ministries, Sean is the founder of multiple global movements, including all those ones we talked about: Burn 24/7, Light a Candle, Hold the Line, Let Us Worship. How many different ministries can you have? Light a Candle does make its Form 990s public, and Feucht is listed as its president. In 2021, he collected a salary of only $48,000 from the nonprofit. Let Us Worship is listed as a church with the IRS and does not make its 990s public. I can understand, you kind of shift away from this saying, look, I only made $48,000 from this. What about all these other ones? Many publications, including Rolling Stone and Ministry Watch, have raised concerns about the lack of transparency from these entities. Sean Feucht Ministries did not respond to repeated requests for information from this. So with all that being said, basically, don't give your money over to Sean. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the comments to see what y'all are saying on this. And then we're going to go ahead and get off here because it is late. I got to wake up at like 4 a.m. And then we're going to move on over here. If you are watching this in the future, by the way, and you do find this enjoyable for anybody out there watching it, please, I highly encourage you like, share, and subscribe to this video as it really does help out in pushing the message out there. Susie Q chimes in the Pursuit Church Northwest for Russell Johnson over there. Yeah, like I said, if you want a good laugh, go ahead and just watch him. If your brain doesn't rot first. Transparency level brick. Oh, Kathy, that was a good one. Oh, that was awesome. That was a really, really good one. Um, Too Legit says Metatax is probably is only interested in selling books. He's been to my church a couple of times. Wow, that's crazy. Uh, Kathy also says the more ministries, the more income streams for him. And yeah, that's what we're seeing. Once again, I do want to predicate all this. Well, I guess I can't predicate because we're at the end of it, but I do want to caveat on what we've been saying. And we said it before. These are all allegations right now. They are alleged. I do hope, though, that based off what these different leaders that were working with Sean at one point in time is claiming does get investigated. The truth does come out. The truth does find out. And we'll see what happens from there. From this point on, though, like I said, based off of Ministry Watch, if you have been giving to Sean, which I think most of you who watch this probably don't, but if you have been, do not give to him anymore. He's got an F rating. No transparency. We don't know where that money's going, but we do know he has a lot of homes. Plus these allegations on top of it to boot. I just don't think it bodes well. And we can't forget one of the most important things. He's a product of Bethel. And we all know that basically anything that comes out of Bethel is usually not good unless it's somebody who awakens to the true gospel of Jesus Christ and becomes a believer. That's not to say I don't believe that true believers aren't in Bethel. If they are, I just believe that they are very, very immature Christians at this point. And then hopefully, as they read their Bible, they get out of that church. Bethel's just not known for making the most solid ministry people, especially with all the craziness. Susie did put up the link for the Justin Peters video, which I'm going to watch after this. I did not know that he did one. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out after this is over. And besides that, y'all have a wonderful Monday night and hope you all stay safe, especially us here in stormy, stormy Oklahoma. I will talk to y'all here on the next.